Season 8 premiere of the Too Much Hockey Podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Marshall, and I have a very special guest kicking our season off with us this evening. And it has been a day, and it has been a day in Edmonton. It's been a summer. But we are very pleased and honored to be joined by the founder of APNA Hockey, Lali Toor. Lali, how's it going?
Josh, it's been a great summer, but nice to be back in season. What a day to kick it
It's
off.
actually funny because we've been talking about this for a bit, and then we were like, something might be happening, so let's just wait. And then we waited and we waited, and then the day came. So a good friend of ours actually is funny because a lot of credit online is going to Dan Powers, which is rightfully so because he had tweeted on Friday, October 6th, baby, it's the day, and he's obviously the founder and co-host of the Empty Netters podcast. So I was chatting with him, and then got a note just after midnight today, and I was ready to go to bed and put my phone down, and then for some reason I just looked over at it, and I have it on silent mode, and I looked at it, and I was like, maybe something's in there that I might need to look at, and sure enough, I didn't even get the notification. It was just inkling, maybe God talking to me, but then, I got a text saying, this is going to happen today. Then we put a tweet out. Had one media member here in Edmonton get a little bit mad at me because he thought I was wrong on my information, so whatever, it is what it is, but we'll get into stuff like that later on. But obviously the day transpired, and credit to Elliot Friedman. He went on his podcast last night, and obviously came out this morning saying something was going to happen today, and then he broke the news, and he's been right all along, saying if this is going to happen, it's going to be a lot less than what we think. And I think we are very surprised of how much a lot less, because I think a lot of rumors were maybe 16, 15.5, 15, and then it came in, Lali, 2 years at 2.5 million. Your thoughts, my friend?
Well, it was interesting. So I'm headed to the Edmonton Country Club this morning, and huge shout out to Robert Nowicki. He invited me out to come see the club. And when I get there, he pulls up. I'm like, yo, Connor signed the deal. And the whole club was buzzing around that. But I'm like, what's the term? How much is he getting paid? It's great that he signed, but what are the details of this contract, right? Because that's all that matters. And like you said, it was very short term, 2 years, 12 and a half, nothing close to Kaprizov or what he could have gotten, this year or even next year with the cap going up. So it's really interesting to see just how it all transpired. I know me and you, Josh, have gone back and forth on quite a few different scenarios, and I kept thinking, I personally thought it was going to be July 1st, right? I thought, when do you ever get a superstar, generational, probably the most skilled hockey player to ever play the game? When do you ever get to see that go into free agency, right? You never get to see that. So all the power all the cards were held by Connor, right? I mean, I could have just imagined, him going July 1st and, either recruiting players, taking less money, recruiting players, free agents to Edmonton, or even just entertaining the other 30 some teams out there, right? I'm pretty sure James Dolan, the owner of the New York Rangers, would have gave him a private jet for, the whole year if he really wanted to. So, it's really cool to see how this all transpired. It's nice to see him stay here, but, Connor got what he wanted, right? He put the ball right back into management side and said, hey, you got 3 years to do this, let's go. And he put a lot of money on the table, right?
Well, a lot of money for them to use now.
So, oh, it's crazy, right? You said the cap's going up next year, right? So, in the next 3 years, the expectations, just like how it's always been, is cup or bust, right? So, it's interesting to see what's going to happen, but, what a ride, though, right? The last, since July 1st, it's kind of been a roller coaster.
Yeah, it's always, there's never a dull moment in the city, and I don't think we're going to see anything less than that to start the year, because they're a bit banged up. They got a defenseman who's played maybe a handful of 20 games in Alex Regula, who's going to start the season. They have another defenseman in Ty Emberson, who has around 100 games played. Those guys are going to be in your opening night lineup. You obviously have some injuries and whatnot, and there's with the Hyman factor, he's out too, and Wallman, who just signed it. That happened today. It went under the radar, so good 7 year deal for
Yeah.
Jake Waldman, and but yeah, just a lot there. So tough schedule on the road a lot to start the year. They're not always the greatest team to start the year, but they've kind of done things a bit differently in camp, which can say maybe that will change. That narrative will change, but there's a lot here to unpack, and I think there's some great takes that can be had, and there's some great insight that can be taken in terms of all this. So we'll dive into all that. So before we get into that, we like to thank our sponsor, Tough Dragger Racing. We just had them on just recently. You guys will hear that interview here in the future. So Tough is a chuck wagon racer. He's going to be joining us throughout the hockey season, and he's sponsoring us as well too. So we like to thank him for sponsoring us, yeah, this coming season. And then also Lali Toor, APNA Hockey is going to be sponsoring us this year with our 3 Stars of the Month Minor Hockey Awards that we did last year. Lali's going to be sponsoring us and APNA Hockey throughout the entire season, from the start of minor hockey right to the end of playoffs and provincials. So Lali, again, thanks for helping us out with that, being a part of that journey. So those awards will be announced by current NHL players throughout the season. And then we have our first video coming up this week. Looking forward to that. We just selected our 3 winners. Yeah, a lot helped growing the game. So Lali, really appreciate you joining in. Tough joining in too. And we still have our other current sponsors. We have Shadified Salon and Barbershop. As you know, the Shadified brand very well as I do. They're going to be sponsoring us. And our Edmonton Oilers report. And then we have our Flames report, sponsored by our friends at Marlou Barbershop in Calgary. They'll be sponsoring us too. That's Nick and the team there. And then Sheena Boychuk Real Estate, who will be sponsoring our minor hockey highlight of the week. So Sheena Boychuk, Realty by Design, your design approach to real estate. So some amazing sponsors joining us. And then obviously we got Go Auto, ASIM at Go Auto is helping us out too. So if you guys are looking for a vehicle, go see ASIM, give us a call, send us a DM, a text, and let us know, and we'll get you in line with ASIM at Go Auto. So thanks for them for joining in on that. So got all our sponsor stuff out of the way. We'll get through that as we go. So just a bit of a change this year. But back to the deal here, Lali, in terms of my idea, my thought process on it is good for McDavid, good for the Oilers. You could say that is putting other players like Jack Eichel, Kyle Connor, Alex Tuck, the list goes on. There's a lot of guys, Adrian Kempe. This could put a lot of pressure on them, where those managers now will look, Connor took less. Connor took the page out of Crosby's book, where, didn't do the 8.7, but he just continued with the same AAV that he's carried the last 8 years going into year 8 of that deal. And it gives the Oilers a lot less to work with. I'm a union worker in my real job, my day-to-day job. I'm always advocating pushing the envelope for more in union, and we're obviously seeing that right now with the teachers' strike and whatnot. And I think it's interesting. I'd really like to pick someone's brain at the NHLPA. I did send an email over to them today, and just waiting to kind of hear back to see what their thought process is. Because I think we were talking about this off recording, is you maybe want the players to push for more, because where we see the envelope with other players in other sports, Lali, but how much do you think this low AAV is going to impact this season and next season with some of the star players? Or is this just going to be different, and we just got to look, Connor's Connor, but the other players? Or do you think some of the managers, in your thought process of this, do you think, are they going to use this against them in their negotiation?
Personally, don't think negotiation-wise is going to make a difference, with pending free agents. I think again, like how you said, this is such a unique deal, right? Given the situation, given how long Connor has been, playing for us here in Edmonton, and you can't say 1 year he's taken off, right? Like, he's given it his all year in, year out. During the playoffs, he has the 3rd highest point per game behind Mario and the great Wayne Gretzky, right? And there's not much he could do more, right? And for him to, it's unfortunate that he has to take 12.5. And to be honest, Josh, it's unfortunate for the game of hockey, right? The optics, other superstar players from around the league are looking at, McDavid is the top guy in the NHL. And he's like, wow, his take home is going to be like, what, 6 million after taxes, right? Which is not a whole lot, right? And again, I think it puts a damper on the game overall, right? Because you want to see your best players make the best amount of money, right? I mean, you want to be pushing that 17. You want to get up to that $20 million level, right? Especially when QBs, the top baseball players are making north of 50 million nowadays, right? And the basketball players are pushing out 80 million a year, right? So I mean, you want to see the top players of each league get to those, high numbers because it also shows that the league is very healthy, right? So I mean, in that case, yeah, it kind of sucks that we won't see, Connor, hit that 20 mark, while he's in Edmonton so far, right? Unless he extends in the future. But I mean, you want to see your best players make the most money. That's what, creates a good, healthy league. But again, this situation is so unique because, I mean, he hasn't won yet. And to be honest, he probably should have won by now. And I think that's the biggest issue, right? I mean, 10 years of, Connor here, we have nothing to show for it. And that's the unfortunate part. And now that he's taken a hometown discount and basically saying, hey, I'll take a pay cut and create that culture, maybe not even creating that culture, but just be the first one to, do that. Because where have we seen this before, Josh, where players take a cut to stay with the team?
I know that like we can go to the Crosby,
We saw it with
Malkin,
Panthers and
Ovechkin
stuff,
stuff,
right?
but like at that time, that was the going rate for those contracts. Like I know Malkin got paid more than Crosby, but it's different now. The cap is different, and I think Connor set himself up here to be. And I've been saying this all along. I'm taking heat on Twitter. It's only Twitter. You only face heat on Twitter. Anywhere else, it's okay. But I still think the NHLPA and that wants him to be the first player to make $20 million, and that's still in a way of setting up that way. It wasn't going to happen on an extension that he was going to do today or do tomorrow or July 1st. It's going to happen in the future. Now he's going to look at this and okay, I've given you Edmonton Oilers 13 years of my service. I've given you the 13 best years of my career, and you guys have not won me a cup. That will be put back on ownership. That will be put back on management. That will be put back on coaching, the roster development, organization development. No, I'm not going to say I'm the biggest Sam Bowman fan. Like, he's in the NHL. I'm not. I give him respect. But there are several players on the Chicago Blackhawks who won those 3 cups. And I saw Brent Seabrook the other day. And Brent Seabrook said that these cups were Dale Talon's cups. Stan walked into a great situation. Now, this team is not any better than what it was when Ken Holland was the general manager. That was the best team. And I still think, to date, I could be wrong, to be proven wrong, and I've been wrong before. But I think when Connor McDavid's career is done in Edmonton, this is going to be a hot take, but when his career is done, and say he plays these 13 years out, and then he goes on, and I think in a candid interview, if you say what team, what group of the players was the closest you had to winning the cup, he's going to say that team is going to be the team that Ken Holland was the general manager of, because that was their best chance of winning. I don't think they're winning this year. I think they could win in the next 2 years after. I just think there's too many other teams that are better than them right now. Their goaltending is obviously still a huge question mark. They know it. When you're juggling goaltenders in the playoffs in the Stanley Cup final, it's not a good look. So they're going to have to figure that out. They have a full year to figure that
Inexperience.
out. But
a lot of inexperience right now with the current roster.
Yeah, you're going to have what,
right?
potential 4
And,
rookies make your opening night roster on a rookie.
Yeah. The reason why Leon and Connor want to play is because maybe Connor doesn't want to play with inexperienced players, right? I mean, I read that.
I think
that could be true, right? I mean, there's a lot of inexperience. I mean, yeah, like there's a lot of players coming in with literally no NHL experience, right? I mean, when you look at the rosters of past, right, with so many good players that were on this team, and I mean, there's been blunders, right? At the end of the day, Josh, like we shouldn't be hiding those blunders, right? Like Broberg and Holloway, those were stuff like that is like if you're a GM in the NHL and that stuff slides, you're fired instantaneously. Like those are blunders that just don't happen. And I think those are fireable offenses, right? So again, there's just been so many blunders, so many, I mean, again, hindsight is always 2020, I understand that, but like those blunders just can't be happening. And that's what creates this mistrust, right? There's a mistrust between, you know, maybe the players and what direction that they want to go with the team compared to what the GM want and the ownership wants to do, right? Or the mismanagement of players. And I think, you know, overall, when we look at, you know, the 10 years of service of Connor McDavid here in Edmonton, it's been mismanagement, right? I mean, the first time we made the cup final, I probably could have told you we should have made the cup final maybe a
Hey,
couple
when
years
you're
before that,
gifted first round
right?
picks and
This
top
team,
five picks for multiple years in a row, you should at least have 2 or 3 cups
yeah,
in your chamber at this point, and he knows that. That's not any news to
yeah.
him. But yeah.
Yep.
Hey, and
So the biggest thing is the narratives, right? Like, what kind of narratives do we want to conclude with, right? Like, I think it always comes to narratives, right? It's between the owner and the star player, right? What kind of narrative is Connor creating? And it's like, hey, I gave it my all. I even gave a hometown discount.
yeah,
Let's see what we can do, right? That's why I think the narrative, if it doesn't win a cup, it'll be mostly like Connor did everything he could, right? Management kind of messed it up, ownership, whatever the case may be, but there was gaps because this player gave it his all, you know, over the contract of his career with the Edmonton Oilers, but we were just not able to, you know, aid that. And I think that just comes down to management, right? So at the end of the day, like this whole even the 2 years, right? Like it's just so much pressure, right? It could have been a 4, it could have been an 8. You know, obviously Oilers fans wanted a long-term contract, but at what point, Josh, you have to put the pressure on management
yeah,
eventually, right? And that's why I thought July 1 would be like, you know, July 1 basically meant Connor would have full control of what he wanted to do, whether it be reconstruct the roster here in Edmonton, go to another team. There was so many options July 1st. So that's why I was pretty sold on
yeah,
him signing July 1st. But the next best thing is taking less money short term,
yeah.
which
He
which
pretty
he did
much.
today.
I would say he still has one foot out the door in a way because it would be easy to move this contract as the cap goes up as time goes on. If they considerably regress, you know, where they get eliminated in the first round and he comes back the following year and it's another thing and he's in his last year, it's like, okay, well then the conversation will change and you know we'll be right back to square one. These things happen pretty quick. There's a lot to unpack because I think personally not confirmed. Like obviously we have a source within the organization, but this take is just my own. I think he faced a lot of pressure over the weekend to get something done. Um, anyone, I don't run a business. I just this podcast, I guess you could say, is somewhat a business, but it's more of a hobby. But anyone that runs businesses that I know, like big businesses, and Lali, your family's in big businesses. You guys got a lot of things on the in the cooker, and you guys continue to grow. But I think uncertainty in any business is not good, and I think that played in a
No.
factor on the management side. I can see Daryl Cates being like, "Hey, we are this big organization. We're over $2 billion. Um, we've been successful. Having uncertainty. I don't need sponsors coming down my throat every day. Hey, is he signing? Is he not signing? Is it going to happen before the season starts? Is it not?" I think there was some pressure put on. I think the easiest thing Connor did was to do what he did because he said in the summer if he figured that there's a path forward to win and he thinks he can win multiple years in a row, he would sign. You don't have any of your current goaltenders aren't extended any past this season, so it would be a weird thing for him to think, hey, like he hasn't spoken this. By the time this podcast drops, he'll already have some comments are out there, but I would be interesting to hear what he has to say because did
Yeah.
where did the ball change? And he's only the one that can answer that. It's because if I'm sitting there and I'm saying, hey, if I could see a path forward to change and winning multiple years in Edmonton, I would do it. I just don't know if that does the same thing when you look at the other shoe in the foot. You're like,
Yeah.
you don't have any goal. You have no goalie depth in your organization, and the goaltenders, the 3 goalies that are on NHL contracts you have, are all UFAs at the end of the year, and they'll have like
Yeah.
uncertainty around them going forward, right? So like Stuart Skinner's lost all this weight. I've been waving the Stuart Skinner bandwagon. I think that's the main hate I get from Oilers fans is how much we support Stuart Skinner. But I don't know. It's just
Hmm.
my thoughts process, and I don't know, rambling on here, but I don't know, like, yeah,
No, I mean, like, it's, yeah, you got to digest it all. Like, I mean, the half foot in, half foot out, forced to kind of, you know, do the deal, a lot of pressure from ownership. I mean, that happens, right? But at the same time, it's like, um, what are you supposed to do? Like, I mean, if he didn't
Oh,
sign,
100.
this would have been a circus for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
It would have been a full circus. Like, it's not even funny how much attention this would have got. Like, it would have been, I mean, the last
A
two
circus.
months here in Edmonton have been like, just like, it's been a circus. Like, everyone's wondering what the hell he's doing, right? He wants to win, but is it winning beyond 2026? Like, is he, this is it? This is the last dance? Like, what's going on? Like, I mean, if he didn't sign this, like, it would have been a circus. I mean, I thought he would have stuck out till July 1, to be honest, right? Because again, like he would have had full control
Yeah.
of what he wanted to do, which is very rare for players, right? And I kind of compare this to like I don't want to compare it to LeBron because Connor is not
Yeah.
LeBron at all, right? But LeBron had full control of where he wanted to go, right? When he made the decision, right? And I genuinely thought it was heading that direction because we've never seen that in the NHL where an NHL player, a superstar player, has taken control of where he wants to go to win a championship. And that's what we saw with LeBron because it wasn't working out in Cleveland. And I genuinely thought it was trending that way
Yeah,
with
and I
Connor,
did too, because
with
I
here in
thought
Edmonton.
I was on record on our podcast account saying I think Tampa Bay was the best option for him, just the way they were set up, cap wise, state tax wise. He won with Cooper at the Four Nations. There's a chance he could win with Cooper at the Olympics. He looks at John Cooper and says, "Hey, that coach has brought me two of the biggest things in my life that has been successful in professional hockey slash big tournament events. Why can I not think I can't win with him as a head coach in the NHL?" But obviously he signed, and again, that was my comments, that was my take, reading the situation after his interview with Kyle Bacossis and Elliot Freeman. Obviously proven to be wrong. He resigned. Full disclosure on that. I got no problems admitting when I'm wrong. Like when I'll come out on here.
Neither do I.
I'll,
That's the beauty. When you're wrong, you're wrong. You
Correct.
accept
Yeah, and
it, but
I'm
you learn
not
from
ever
it,
going to be
right? I
right on
mean,
everything.
that's all you
What
do.
I will defend, we've been on this
No.
podcast, we've been right about more Oilers things in the last 13 months than anyone in the city. Like anyone. Like so that is
Yeah.
it's just facts. I don't know where any of these other guys
Yeah.
have gotten anything right. We've gotten a lot right in the last, like most recent before this, we announced the Chris Knobloch contract extension was closing in. Next day it happened. So it's like, but whatever, it is what it is. You're gonna get
Yeah.
hate because you're successful or people. That's life. And again, I only ever received hate from one platform, but again, I'll admit, yeah, he was wrong in terms of I was wrong in terms of what he was going to do. He resigned. I just personally think it was pressure. I don't think there's any which way he could have went into the season, without a deal, just because the circus it's going to
Yeah.
have for him here on the road. A lot of their games are out
Yeah.
east. That's a lot more media people they're gonna be answering questions to. They were able to hide him over the last 2 weeks. I know he was requested every single day. Those requests were denied. So, good on him though.
Hmm.
I do give him some respect for doing something with not a lot of players do, and he took less. I think that hurts the union in a way, but they'll have to deal with that. And hope,
It kind of instills that culture that Edmonton's
mm,
always needed, right? Like, I know I mentioned culture a few minutes ago, like Florida, right? I mean, players took a cut, right? I know they got the state tax advantage, but when players take less than what they're worth, that means they believe
correct.
in what they're doing, right? I don't think in the last 10 years of Connor McDavid, I've ever felt that kind of culture with the Edmonton Oilers where players are willing to take less to, come together
Yeah.
and,
Wow.
win cups, right? I mean, that culture is clearly instilled in the Florida Panthers because of what they did over the summer. But I mean, maybe this is Connor kind of setting the tone of that culture, right? Because if it's not other players that are setting the tone for the culture, it has to be the captain, right? And just given how everything lined up, it just makes sense that 2 years would be the play, right? At 12 and a half. And and we think about these narratives, right? Like, I mean, ownership was able to bring in Jeff Jackson, right? Connor's former agent, Nobla, Connor's former coach. Even like Connor Brown,
He's
a
even
few
got some
years
of
ago when
his
they brought
friends
him
working
in,
for the organization
former
behind the scenes too, right? Yeah.
behind the scenes, right? So, in a way, I think maybe this is not Connor's doing, right? It's not Connor asking for this, but there's always a some sort of like narrative in the background that everybody wants to create, right? So if Connor leaves, they're gonna be like, well, we had everything set up here, right? You had your former coach, you had your former agent, everything was set up. Well, what's going on now? The pressure's on, obviously McDavid. You didn't perform, you didn't complete the task, right? But now that he's taken less money, the pressure's right back onto management. That's exactly what he did
And it's
with
big
this move,
because there's
right?
been a
I
lot of
mean,
question marks
it's
about this
massive.
management group. Derek Ryan, 4 years of being an Edmonton Oiler, very outspoken about how he was treated by this management group, this head coach, Dylan Holloway. Those are two recents. Like that's not AI making those comments up. Those are real comments by those people in live moments of being asked in an interview. So they are what they are. I look at Jack Roslovic. He's still sitting at home. He doesn't have a deal. He saw the way Jeff Skinner, Victor Arvidsson, and Derek Ryan were treated. There was no way he was going to sign in Edmonton. He was not going to take a 1 year, $1 million deal.
Yeah.
He would there's no way he was doing that because he was like, I'm not going to be that next guy, that next victim of a bad culture and a bad organization. And I know it's saying a lot. I know enough about the organization. It's not as what it seemed to be in a public eye. And that's just my opinion. I got a lot of proof in my phone, conversations, emails through people in that organization that have not treated us well. I know we have been treating them super, super well, but you race us out of it. We're nothing. We're not any big people at all, but
You look at the players, the performance, the results.
yeah,
At the end of the day, it's a results
correct.
orientated business, right?
Yeah.
The whole league is, and it's a results business, and like we have
Yeah.
not seen any results, right? And that's the sad part, right? I mean, we're both obviously very proud, Edmontonians, Josh, right? Like I personally, like
Mm-hmm.
I grew up an Oilers fan, right? And like seeing this team, I always put
Yeah.
politics and the
I got to
team
learn
aside,
that because
right? So when it's time to cheer for the
you're
team,
better at that than I
I'm
am. I'll
I'm
say
I'm,
that.
I'm getting used to that, right? Put the politics and the team, separate. But to see this team, do so well, over the last few years in the playoffs, like I live right at the JW here, and just seeing how much of this city comes out during the playoffs, and just like going to different neighborhoods, driving around, honking the horn, um, even our businesses here in Edmonton, right? Like just customers coming through. Like it's great to see the happiness that this team
Yes.
creates when it does well,
There's
right?
nothing
There's
in any
nothing like it,
professional
and
sport
I'm
like it.
very proud
100%.
of
I agree with
it,
that.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy, right? Like, I mean, my wedding was during the Cup final, and like I had so many guests, Josh, that came out of town from like LA, from New York, and all of them got to
The real
experience
true side of
the
Edmonton. Yeah.
the thrill of the Stanley Cup final, the true side of Edmonton, right? Because I mean, on a
No.
normal day like this, there's no one out here, right, downtown. But during the Cup final, like they got to experience something that they're gonna remember forever, right? Like I had buddies that came out from Switzerland. They had no clue what the Oilers, what the NHL was, and they're
I
like,
want to be
"What
a
is
fan of
going
this
on?"
now. Yeah.
Right? They're like, "Is there some like, is there a soccer game going on or something?" He's like, "What soccer team is in Edmonton?" I was like, "No, it's hockey." Right? And that's the one thing, Josh. Like I can't get over the fact that, regardless of us winning or not, it's brought a lot of, energy into the city, right? And we crave that. I crave it as well, right? So I mean, Connor did the best thing he could do, which is take less, whatever short term, that's his way. And now management needs to step up, fill in the holes, and make this thing work in 3 years. Because if Connor doesn't win a cup in
It'd be
Edmonton,
the biggest detriment
holy crap, that's not going to be.
to. And,
That is the worst because Connor's just the best
yeah.
player to ever touch the ice skill wise, right?
Yeah,
Skill
and
wise,
it's
it's
crazy. Like I
insane,
was watching the
right?
Amazon series, went through all the episodes yesterday, and there's that one clip that Paul Bissonnette, like it's going into the Cup final. It's got home ice. They win game one. The Cup's on the ice, and they're showing highlights. And Paul Bissonnette just says, he goes, "I can't see it. I can't see it at all. Connor McDavid losing in his second appearance in the Stanley Cup final. I can't see it."
Yeah. I
Yeah,
had him. I
yeah,
had them
and it
winning
like
last. I honestly did. Yeah, I did. I thought that I think the last time I was on was January. And you're like, who's going to be in the final? I was like,
yes.
it's probably going to be a rematch, which it was. And I was like, I generally thought Edmonton would take it this year Because when you lose, and I remember saying this in January, when you lose a cup final,
And
that
you know how
taste
to
doesn't
win the
leave.
next time when you get there,
It
right?
does.
So, and
Yeah. But the thing is, like Florida,
it
they
just,
picked
it
up
was not
Marchand,
even
and like,
close.
man, he
Like
was a
the
beast. He was a
time led in
beast
the
during the
series was
playoffs.
night and day, right? So, um,
Yeah,
no,
Hyman
it
getting
didn't.
injured
It
didn't help
didn't at
either,
all.
right? I
But
mean,
you know, in
Hyman.
that series, you see what Kachuk was going through. You see what other guys are going through. And hey, man, like I put it on
Yeah,
social media because we have the clip there. But I personally think they're going to miss a guy like Corey Perry. Not saying you could find that replacement as time goes on throughout the year. I don't think they currently have that guy in the room right now, but it'll come. They'll find
hmm
something will pop up before, the March 6th trade deadline or at that time to bring that person in or that player in because you need that kind of type of player. One thing a player said to me the other day, an NHL player, I was talking to him, and I just on the Amazon thing. He goes, one thing that he goes, I don't get because there's this other clip of McDavid losing it after Game 6 that hasn't been made public, and there's still a lot of talk about it. Empty Netters talked about it. 32 Thoughts talked about it. I've been able to see the video, but it's not been made public. But it's a tough video to watch because it's like you see what Connor did last year in the Amazon series, and then you see this part, and you're like, man, that is like you can't remember a player kind of doing that. And if you're gonna put those players in the same conversation, the McDavids and the Crosbys, maybe Crosby had moments like that before these behind the scenes videos were on, but it just we've never seen it. You've ever heard about it. He just kind of carries himself another way. And I think Connor just holds so much pressure in the city, in this market to win. And the one thing he just wants to win is the Stanley
yeah,
Cup. And it would just be weird for him not to win it. History of the game, we've been saying this forever on our podcast, history shows players like him win cups where they're drafted and developed. And I don't know what else to say. Like,
yeah,
they have to win in the next 3 years or
yeah,
he is gone. And the reality of it is his agent and Austin Matthews have this, like Connor and Austin have the same agent, Judd Moldaver. Both their contracts expire at the same time now. They've lined those contracts up. Do they go together? Do they go to somewhere else? Do they go to LA? I don't know. Are they a package deal because they got the same agent or because they don't win in their markets. Like, I don't think Edmonton's better than they were last year. I definitely don't think Toronto's better than when they were last year. And I'm a Leaf fan, but I don't think Toronto's any better than they were last year. You lost a 100-point player and you didn't replace them, like in Mitch Marner. But the
nothing,
pressure's on in
right?
Edmonton,
For
as you
nothing.
say. Yeah.
And that's not. I mean, like Marner leaving. I mean, you don't want a situation
No.
like that, like ever, right? Like that's like the worst case scenario, right? Losing a superstar player for nothing. And I mean, kudos to Vegas, right? Vegas always gets, good players but that's also the
Correct.
culture that they've instilled in their organization. I've gotten to know the some of the owners of that organization and Josh, like it's night and day, right? Everything's very transparent, everything's by the book. Everything is done with um, just motivation to win. Every little detail of them, they want to
Yeah.
go after it every single year, right? It's not like taking a year off or taking a back seat. It
No.
doesn't
That's
exist in
why
their
they're in the movement for
vocabulary.
Carter
Like
Hart
they want to
because
go after it
they want
right?
wins.
They're going after
I don't know
Carter
what's going to
Hart too,
happen.
right?
Nothing's
Like
going to happen
yeah,
there, but they're like, if we have one good goalie, why not add another good goalie? And why not? Yeah,
why not more, right? Like they're always hungry, right? That's what I love about Vegas. Ever since they entered the league, obviously they went to the Cup final the first year, and like I think it's
yeah,
that the misfits, all the players that were kind of sent to that team that were kind of given up on, that culture stayed with the Golden Knights, and being the outcasts and being the players that no one
yeah,
cared about, right? And man, I mean, in 6 years they won a Stanley Cup, right? And each year they're
yeah,
gunning for a cup every year, right? It's not even a question about that. So I mean, that comes down again,
yeah,
management, how you treat people, right? How you treat players, how you treat um, staff, how you treat community, how you treat people around you, right? I mean, that comes down to a lot of different things. And I've been fortunate enough to work with lots of different organizations, in the NHL, and each one is very, to their own and what they do, right? And like just seeing, certain organizations, take it to another level, not only on community,
yeah,
but like with the players too, right? I think culture, like Josh, I think culture is
You
the biggest
have
thing
to.
you got to create, right? It doesn't matter if it's the talent or anything. You got to build a good culture within your organization. And I've been saying this, since starting up in hockey. Like I did my MBA. Like any kind of successful businesses, Fortune 500 companies, it all starts with the CEO and the tone that they set at the top
Yeah.
on what they want to do, right? So, we got 3 years now with McDavid, right? I mean, I really hope, Daryl and the entire organization, the management team can execute, right? In 3 years, we need to see
Yeah.
at least a cup, right? Like the pressure's on. And you know what? It's a great
Oh
time to
yeah.
watch
Yeah.
Edmonton Oilers hockey.
It's
I'm not gonna lie.
and
It's
I'm
awesome.
very biased
Yeah.
towards this, and we'll change gears to the Calgary Flames. And this will be our Calgary Flames report, sponsored by our
Yeah.
friends at Marlou Barbershop in Calgary. Well, Nick and his team that the 2 months podcast sent you. But obviously, I'm very biased. We have a media pass with the Flames going on year 3 that we've had it. But last year, when they traded to get Joel Farabee and Morgan Frost, Craig Conroy, the general manager and the head of DP communications, Peter Hanlon, at the time, that's what his role. Now he's the assistant general manager. But those two guys got on a private jet and flew to Philadelphia to pick the new 2 players up and fly back with them. You never hear that. That does not happen a lot. That is a very rare situation. And
Hmm.
then there's been multiple charity events where maybe this is common. I haven't really seen it a lot, but like Ryan Huska, Craig Conroy, showing up to the charity events that their players are a part of on off days, what they're doing, how they're supporting back into the community, and the Flames Foundation is an amazing foundation. The Flames alumni is very strong because it's a culture built inside that organization, and the same thing goes down to the Hitmen, goes down to the Stampeders, the Roughnecks. It's all one umbrella, where it's just a great culture. So obviously, great news today in terms of who made the roster. Obviously, we're hoping the best for Jonathan Huberdeau, Martin Prospicel. They're day to day from what it sounds like, but Zane Perek, Lali, changes his number from 89 to 19. He will be in the opening day roster and the opening day lineup. Um, for that point, how excited are you to see him, crack this NHL roster off the hop and be in his first full season in the National Hockey League, and the voice and the face of growing this game with South Asian kids and other kids of color too. Like he's such a good player and such a good kid too, isn't he?
Yeah. No, just like one of the best guys I've met, that had been at that elite level growing up, right? We got to spend some time with him 3 years ago with Anthony Stewart at the Hockey Quality South Asian Summit. And yeah, he was just a skinny little kid that I didn't, just around the rink, I didn't think much of him. But until Anthony's like, yo, this guy's like unreal on the ice. You just see how smart he is, cerebral, his skating, his puck handling. Just how, I mean, I saw it right away once he hit the ice. I was like, holy crap, like, he's going to be something, right? And he got drafted to Saginaw that year in the first round. But no, Zane just, I mean, how he approaches the game, how he leads, by example, right? Again, I've always said this about, ethnic minority players. Sometimes they get lost in, just being a hockey player, and that's all they are, right? But a guy like Zane, Arshdeep, and these, younger guys that are coming up, they're very proud of their background, right? Very proud of, like Zane is half Korean, half Indian. And I got to spend some time with his dad, Azam, when we were in Toronto. And again, I think heritage is a big thing. Like, I mean, understanding your roots is a big thing, but also like, when you get to that level at the NHL level, you're also not just, it's not just your hockey career and, your stats or winning cups. You're also representing a
Correct.
whole community behind you, right? And I think that's the aspect, obviously, that's our bread and butter with APNA hockey is, right? South Asian focused, trying to grow the game. But like we've always been wondering like who's going to be the next big superstar player, right? Like that's from our community, and like Zane is right up there when it comes to top end talent.
Would you put him in the
I mean, what he did in
category
the
of
OHL
the
was like,
Jackson McComb, the Lane Hudson type? Do you think he can get to that point too as a player? Yeah, yeah,
yeah, he's right in that, right? I mean, he's fitting into that mold where it's like elite scoring defenseman, right? And if he ends up being that, I mean, he's already going to go down as one of the best South Asian hockey players to ever play the game, right? And again, the shots that he'll get with the Flames, again, like that's when you mentioned culture and like respect and treating players with respect. I mean I've worked with the Calgary Flames. They are one of the best people I've worked with in the league. And knowing that Zane, got drafted there, I instantly thought, I was like, wow, this is amazing to have him not only here in Alberta, close to us so we can watch him, right? Anytime that he's up here in Edmonton, but like we're also in the same division, right? So he's going against, top players like Connor and stuff. Like it's going to be fun to watch him. But like, again, very happy to see that an organization that pushes growing the game and really stands behind, growing the game in different communities, treating different community members with respect, equally. It's great to see the Flames, have a player like that, and Kevin
Yes.
Ball. He's
Yeah.
who's half South Asian as well, right? And to have those two defensemen, it's funny, Josh. Like I
Yeah.
have a whole roster. Obviously, but we're going to talk about later about Team India, but this roster is insane. Like if it ever comes to fruition, it's crazy. Like
You will,
you'll
for
see
sure.
India at the
That
Olympics.
is a very passionate for you on that. So, what about collaboration stuff with him? Is it something that you guys are eager to do in the sides? I know you guys have done stuff in the past with some other artists and other athletes, but in terms of him with the APNA brand now, it's a great thing. It's obviously was a huge success in Calgary last year. I would assume.
I actually should have been wearing this
I
instead. I'm
know.
wearing Wayne's Gretzky OVO. I know. My friend Sean McTavish gave me some of this from Ty Gretzky. He helps out with the hockey school. I'm a big.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason why I played was because of Wayne Gretzky. So I mean, I'm always rocking 99 whenever I can, right? Yeah, maybe I should.
No,
It's actually upstairs. I should have wore the Up in the Flames collab because that was a really cool collab, right? I mean, I think when you look at growing the game, we always naturally think about the ice right away, right? I mean, and I guess I'll talk
Yes.
about kind of the brand, right? I mean, about a year ago, I ended up trademarking the word APNA because it meant so much to me. And for the listeners that don't know what APNA means in the languages of South Asia, it means our. So APNA hockey actually translates to our hockey. So that word APNA is a 4-letter word that just meant so much to me growing up because I never saw APNA. APNA means our people. I didn't see him at the rinks. I didn't
Behind
see
the
him,
bench, you didn't see him in the
playing
stands,
hockey.
management office,
Behind the bench,
trainers.
coaches. I didn't see anyone, right? So that's where it comes from, right? It's curiosity. And so like when I trademarked it and thought of this idea, I was at the All-Star weekend in Toronto, and there was a collaboration between Mitchell Ness and Two Black Guys, which is a black-owned clothing company from Toronto, and they actually did a collaboration with the Maple Leafs that weekend. And it's a cool collaboration where they had former black athletes that played for the Toronto Maple Leafs, guys like Wayne Simmons, Mark Frazier, who was kind of like the architect of this collab. Grant Fuhr came out for it. Bal James, and like you see these guys come out and they're on a hot stove talking about what it means to be a black athlete representing the Toronto Maple Leafs, right? The most historic NHL franchise, in my humble opinion too, in the National Hockey League. I was like, wow, that is so cool. Like doing a collab with an NHL team to grow the game of hockey, that's really cool. And then a few months later, I'm like, what should I name this company
It's
name?
right there.
I'm like, wait a minute, it's right in front of me the whole time. APNA, right? And so I ended up trademarking it. Started talking to different NHL teams, and very fortunate and very grateful that we were able to work with the Calgary Flames on a special South Asian night merchandise drop last April. So we did an APNA Flames, which translates to our Flames, and the pitch behind the brand is, again, growing the game, growing the fan base. Because when you're a new South Asian that's moved to Calgary, and you might not know what hockey or anything is, and like Canada is basically you're coming in and you don't know a whole lot, and you want to kind of integrate into the culture of Calgary, right? I mean, I think integrating into Calgary culture, I think one avenue is the Calgary Flames, right? So when I put the word APNA next to the Flames logo on what we got approved from the league and from Mitchell Ness USA, where if these people that come to Calgary that are new to Calgary, they see the logo and they see the word APNA, they're like, what? APNA means our.
Yes.
What is the Flames logo? Right? That's the thought process behind the brand is like curiosity. Like, what is that? Well, it's the Flames. It's hockey, right? And then you go to a South Asian game, that the Flames hold every year, and then you see the merchandise, and you can take a piece back home, and then you can talk to your friends and family. Hey, look, there's a South Asian brand that's collabing with the Flames. That is, it's basically like a red carpet. Like, hey, this is your game too. So that was the thought process behind it, and it's going to be sold at the Saddle Dome and online on their Flames,
Yeah.
the online Flames store this season. So you can get the hoodie, you can get the tee, and we're working with different NHL teams. I got some meetings lined up the next couple of weeks with a few different NHL teams to maybe collaborate on more stuff, right? Maybe a hat, maybe a sweatshirt, right? How can we grow the game of hockey not only just on the ice but also as fans, right? Because my dad never played hockey, never, even when he got here, he never played. He was 18 when he got here. He was on the ice a little bit, but didn't obviously pick it up that quick. But he loved the game, right? So to grow the game, not necessarily has to be on the ice. It can be off the ice as well, through merchandise, different ways to connect to, our community. And it was a very monumental experience, right? I mean, it's cool talking to, the different ownership levels, that came out to the South Asian game for the Calgary Flames, speaking to them about the collaboration, what it means to the community, and just the impact. I think the impact is the biggest thing, Josh, right? When you see, a word that means so much to our community and you see it right by your local NHL team, it feels different. It feels like home, right? And that's what it is, right? You want your local NHL team to feel like home. You don't ever want to feel like isolated from that team.
I know
right? And
you've
that's what the
told me
brand
this,
does.
but for the proceeds that you guys raise for this APNA brand, can you explain to the listeners where that goes and how you guys give where you're getting that? You're giving it right back to the community, and you're right in the front force, in front steps, and the front doors, and helping
Yeah.
families out. Can you talk about how important that is and how much it means to you too, and
So,
helping out, giving back?
well, the thing is, like, I'm a businessman at heart, right? We get donations here and there, and everything we do goes back, right? Like any kind of money that we get, through UPNA Hockey, bringing athletes out to the All Star Weekend, bringing athletes out to the Heritage Classic here. I flew out, I think, 5 girls from our community to the Four Nations final, fully expensed. Got tickets subsidized from the NHL through our contacts with the league. I want to create experiences for these top end athletes that they don't forget. And in return, through social media, when other athletes see, hey, these elite athletes are getting access to the NHL, PWHL, different experiences, it's going to push them to work harder too, right? So everything, even like with the Flames drop, my inventory, the Flames inventory, proceeds will be going back to UPNA Hockey to give back. Because I mean, at the end of the day, Josh, like, we work our day jobs,
Yeah.
but this is our passion. This is what we do to give back, right? I like me personally, like this makes me happy. I was just talking to a trainer here at the gym downtown here at the JW, and he's like, "How do you juggle so much between work and passion?" And I was like, "The work is there because we need to work and we need to sustain ourselves, but the passion, that's what makes us happy,
Yeah.
right? That'll never leave, right? I mean, seeing my community
Yeah.
do well makes me happy. It genuinely does, right? And because like because I never saw someone from my community excelling at ice hockey. I didn't see it growing up. I wish I did, but nowadays with guys like Zane, Kevin, Arshdeep, we just recently announced Dylan Gunther
Yeah. That's
of the Utah Mammoth. His maternal grandfather is actually Indian. So he does have a piece of South Asian in him. I mean, that in itself is really cool because one, he's an Edmonton kid, and the next thing is he's probably the top athlete in our community. So if Team
he's
India
a
is
goal
ever going to
scorer for
happen,
sure, right? So yeah. Yeah.
he's a sniper, right? And like again, the roster is something that I've been working on, since
Let's get
starting
into
up in
that.
hockey, and
You guys had the
it's
yeah.
growing. It's growing.
Yeah, let's get into it. So you
Yeah.
guys had you
The
guys announced the first team. You
For
guys
sure.
went and played some games. You guys played 3 games.
Yep.
Had to fight some hurdles with travel and weather with some other teams and whatnot. But the jerseys look great. You guys had some great practices. Can you talk about the selection process of this current team that you just had and the future of what you guys are going to do with Team
Yeah.
India and the goal to put them in front of Olympic hockey here?
Yeah, and I think Josh, like, it's been kind of a transition year for me too, right? Like, I think with so many, people in our community, like, I've seen such a massive growth in just kids playing hockey between, 8 years ago when we first started to now. And there's so many good people in our community aiding those kids that are, helping out with hockey development, right? You see that, and it's great to see that more kids are getting involved. Guys like Justin Rye, right? I mean, I've got to give Justin Rye a shout out. I've never met Justin Rye. A lot of the guys on Team India that we brought out to Miami know him personally. Played for University of Maine, UBC, and he's the founder of Kaivo Hockey. I mean, he's training guys like Bedard, Celebrini, Arshdeep over the summer. George Arcara's on the ice with him, and like just to know that we have someone in the skill development side at that elite level, right? For me personally, just putting the pieces together for Team India, it's great to see a guy like Justin Rye, pushing the envelope when it comes to training the elite of the elite, right? And knowing that someone in our community is able to, do that kind of work. But yeah, back to your point with Team India, like our trajectory for APNA hockey, like when I first started APNA hockey, I was always astonished at how many players were playing at an elite level. And to me, 8 years ago, that was like WHL, right? I was like, wow, there's so many guys playing WHL. There's a few girls playing, U Sports. I think two were, and then one was NCAA, but not a whole lot of girls. Fast forward 8 years, it's a whole other story. So this summer, we actually had an opportunity to bring Team India, the heritage version. So by heritage, I mean players have lineage from India, whether it be their parents being born there, their grandparents, or their great grandparents. So they have lineage. So this tournament in South Florida called the LATAM Cup, they allow non-traditional hockey countries to compete. So you don't have to be IIHF sanctioned. You can be, but you can also have a heritage version of that team. So Juan Carlos, a good friend of mine, runs the tournament out of Fort Lauderdale, and they run it out of the Panthers practice facility, the ice stand down there. And this tournament has gotten so much traction, Josh. Like it's not just Latin American teams now. So it's not just Colombia, Peru, Brazil, Mexico. It's now Pakistan, Egypt, Lebanon. Greece was a part of it this year. They won the men's Div 1. Armenia just submitted their team this year, and they're IIHF sanctioned. We got to play an exhibition match against them. And you're seeing such a massive growth of this game through that tournament because it allows different countries to put together players, local players or expats, right? So my goal has always been like, hey, let's get these group of players together, whether it be the males or the females. And we finally got an opportunity to do that after 8 years. And it was probably, Josh, it has to be the coolest experience. And I've been fortunate enough, with APNA Hockey to have some cool experiences. But this has to be the number one experience that I've had is bringing a group of guys, former pro, former college, former U Sports, former junior hockey players that have never played together, got together, and we went down to Florida to do a few exhibition matches against some teams. And as you said, it was a little difficult coming down because of the Air Canada strike.
Yeah.
That kind of got in the way, right? But the experience was up there. Like that was the coolest thing from like once I got back from my honeymoon, it was like right into Team India prep. We got a jersey sponsor. Huge shout out to Ajay Sarma of Excel Athletics. He sponsored the whole jersey palette, away and the home and away jerseys. And it was so cool designing the jerseys, Josh, because like typically, India wears a blue, right? And this time I was like, you know what? We want to show India's true colors, right? Which are the greens, the oranges, right? So if you ever get a chance to, go on our social media platform on APNA Hockey, definitely take a look at the jerseys that we created for this team. And it was really cool because we had a patch on our jersey commemorating the two players that passed away from our community. Ronan Sharma, who tragically passed away a few years ago, and Mr. Dollywall, what is it? A player from our community that passed away unfortunately a few years ago in Vancouver as well. But we invited Parm Joe Dollywall's dad to come and talk to the team before we left, right? And it was very emotional for him to come out because this is a team that
Correct.
his son would have been on. And he came out, talked to the players. We had Robin Bawa come out as well the same night. Robin Bawa was the first player in our community to play in the NHL. And for him to, both Mr. Dollywall and Robin Bawa, to come out and talk to the players before we left to Miami, like, it was really cool to see the fact that so much talent from our community was all in one spot, right? And again, it's about making that impact. When players see that team, it's going to motivate them to get to that level, right? And this is a team, because of the tournament itself, the stipulation was you have to be 2 years removed from pro, junior, or college. So this is kind of the team that we brought was still very skilled, right? Like, we played against the South Florida Selects, which is basically South Florida's best homegrown talent. They had a current East Coast player, Mr. Hernandez was the player. I think it was Manny Hernandez.
Yeah.
He plays in the East Coast for Atlanta, and they had an AHL player that couldn't make it out. But a lot of these players are former college and pro, and they travel with, they go to different cities and tournaments to play for money or whatever. So this is a team that plays together really well. We had 2 leads that game. Right, we ended up losing 7-4, but the coach came over after. He's like, "Dude, you just put this team together." I was like, "Yeah, we had like 2 practices barely."
Yeah.
And we kept up, like, pound for pound, like, we were right there with them. So again, it just shows you how much talent, and I think that's the overarching thing is, like, I want to showcase how much talent our community has, right? And if we can ever bring it to a global level, that's the main dance we want to be
It goes
at.
back to kind of that, TSN documentary, Breaking Barriers, right? And doing that, and how much that project means to you too. And I just think what you're creating is such a great environment, and it's such a positive environment, and it's such a great culture. It's very passionate. You could tell the passion you have behind it, because this has been in the works for quite some time, and there's a lot going on in terms of where you focus energy to, and the fact that you were able to focus some great energy into this, and everything was a success in terms of it, where it's going to blossom into more things down the road. And these are memories that all those players will have for the rest of their lives, too. And I was just going to.
They're already asking when the next
when's
tournament is.
opportunity,
Like,
right? So.
I mean, I'm talking to Team Puerto Rico, and their main, the head person that runs their program, and they invited us to be a part of the Challenger Series. The Challenger Series is basically like LATAM is it allows elite talent, but there's stipulations on what kind of talent is allowed to play in the tournament. Whereas the Challenger Series is a little less stringent on what they require. So we can have players show up that possibly currently play, current pros. So there's a group, I think it's Lebanon, Greece, Puerto Rico, Jamaica's a big team that's a part of that, and we'd love to have a team again, play against Jamaica, because of just the talent that they have. From a lot of the players are from the Greater Toronto area, Jamaican Canadians, and the talent on Jamaica is like, I mean, you're going to see Jamaica at the Olympics one day in ice hockey. You will see that. That's going to happen, and I really hope through these tournaments we're able to make a case and build a working relationship. And I've said this to the National Hockey League when they were interviewing us in Miami, was we want to build a relationship with the Ice Hockey Association of India, right? There is domestic hockey in India, and there's a men's and women's team that plays up in the Himalayas of India, and we want to be able to build a relationship with that program, help that program. We want to help domestic hockey in India. That's our main goal, right? But sometimes these countries that develop a little slower than other countries, and I've had conversations with Bob Nicholson about the Swiss, the Italian program, how it was founded by Americans and Canadians that were playing overseas, gained citizenship, and you see it with the South Korean team of past in Pyeongchang Olympics. Guys like Alex Plant, who's not South Korean, gained citizenship. There's actually it's called an MCOT. Josh, MCOT is the multiple citizens of talent. It basically gives you temporary citizenship to South Korea if you play for their team. So if we can create that for India and allow these expats to represent India, there's no, it's not even an afterthought. This team will
Yeah.
be at the highest level of the Olympic category. Like we will be playing against Kazakhstan and Latvia to get into the top div of the Olympics. Because this roster that I've constructed has Dylan Gunther on it, Zane Perek, Kevin Ball, Arshdeep. It's got up and coming athletes like Prab Batal, which is who plays for the Brandon Wheat Kings, Savin Verk, who's committed to Michigan. There's a lot of players. Caleb Malhotra, who's Matty Malhotra's son. Yeah, he's out in Brantford in the OHL, right? And he's committed to Boston College or Boston University, one of the big NCAA programs out there, right? So like, it's incredible to see the men's roster and be like, it's gonna happen, and it will happen in our lifetime, but it's gonna take a lot of. I mean, you obviously got to deal with politics everywhere we go. We got to deal with politics, which is fine, but we got to work together, right? We have to work together because the goal of this program is to grow the game, right? Having 1.4 billion people cheering on an ice hockey team will grow the game.
Yeah, they'll grow the game. It's such a big positive,
right? And the women's roster is even crazier.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very it's so fascinating to see where this game's going and the doors it's opening and the character that it has and the charisma it has and the passion it has towards all these players that like you could just see in them in the practice videos and the practice pictures and in the games. Like there was a lot of pride taken into this, and it's a lot of work. It's not easy. It takes a big group of people, but the amount of time, effort you put into it, Lali, is
yeah. Speaking of a big group, I mean, this is an open invite. Like I did the whole trip by myself down to Miami, constructed the roster, everything, funding. I mean, we had a lot of help from a lot of good people. I mean, hey, if anybody wants to come out and help me out with this stuff, hey, it's open invite. Because I'm talking to a few people. I would love to create a team because it's a lot of work, Josh, right? I mean, getting that team down to Miami was a lot of work. We did it in about a month and a half time, raised some money, but it was a lot of work, right? So, I mean, the door's always open to work with good people with my organization, right? We have some meetings with Kush Sidhu. Kush Sidhu is actually one of the first South Asian NCAA coaches. Okay. He coaches women's hockey. So he's actually quite decorated. We have a meeting with him this week. Connected with him a couple of weeks ago. He actually won the NCAA championship back in the early 90s for Northwestern. And it's crazy to think like a person from our community who was born in the United States, was born in, I think, India, came to the United States, New York City when he was 1 year old, moved to Montreal, fell in love with hockey, and now he's the founder of the JWHL, the Junior Women's Hockey League, and he's the founder of the Washington Pride. And it was so nice to connect with Kush Sidhu, someone that, an elder in our community, kind of like Robin Bawa. He's very close to 60 years old, but someone with so much experience that has gone through the game and gone through the ranks and seen so many good players from our community. Even like he himself was like, I've coached some of the players on the women's roster, right? Even just talking to him and having a guy like that hopefully be a part of this program, it gives it that much more legitimacy, that much more strength when it comes to seeing India at the Olympics on the women's side and the men's side eventually.
Well, Lali, we've gone over an hour. We're an hour and 4 minutes in, and I think this was a really good pod. There's a lot of energy brought to it, a lot of passion, a lot of good conversation. Hopefully, it didn't upset anyone with our opinions. It's just our opinions at the end of the day. It's nothing personal, but I think it's
really personal, right? At the end of the day, you want to see. Hey, at the end of the day, Josh, I want to see this game grow, right? I mean, we'll see it. We'll see a great episode come out on actually October 27th. Okay. It's called Icebreakers. So you will see that on TSN and Air Canada flights. Breaking Down Barriers is a wonderful TV series that shows people and organizations that change the culture of a sport. So they're doing a feature on APNA hockey, myself, Arshdeep Bains, Manny Malhotra is going to be a part of it, and Harry Mahage, who is the
Great.
assistant coach
Yeah,
of the
he was on
Abbotsford
the ice
Canucks
with you guys too there. So, all right. Do you
yeah,
have anything else to
for
add?
Team India. Yeah.
If people want to get a hold of you, reach out to you. What's the best way? You have email. What's the best accounts to follow?
Follow us on Instagram. Instagram is the biggest handle we have. We're on Facebook as well under APNA Hockey School, but Instagram is the one. It's APNA Hockey. If you're ever interested in reaching out and being part of this movement, especially with the new Team India program, it's going to be built out properly from the elite players down to youth, entering different tournaments. You can get a hold of me at Lali, Lali, at apnahockey.ca. That's my email. Please reach out, right? I mean, this only goes as far as the team that's around it, and I would love to have the right people, push the vision of this program.
All the best and continued success. And again, thanks for sponsoring us this year with the 3 stars of the award for minor hockey and helping grow in that game and putting smiles on kids' faces and all the other great things you guys do in the community too, Lali. Really appreciate it, and looking forward to our next chat very soon. Probably got to get you on monthly here.